Chapter 18 Origins and Cousins. Hearing Klein's question, Dunn looked out the window into the hallway leading to the chain's gate, took out his pipe, stuffed it with tobacco and mint leaves, put it to his nose, took a deep sniff, and said, with a slight drift in his voice, "Only at home can I unbridled enjoy the wonderful mixture of tobacco and mint leaves." Klein, you know the creation myth, right? Of course, when I was initiated in the Sunday school of my church, I learned words from the book of Revelation of the Night, in which the book of wisdom and the letter of the saints both refer to the creation myth. While recalling the memory of the original Lord as a fragment, Klein slowed down his speech. The Creator woke up from the chaos, broke the darkness, created the first ray of light, and himself was completely integrated into the universe. Incarnated as everything, his body became the earth, became the stars, one of his eyes became the sun, and the other became the red moon. And part of his blood ran into the sea and rivers, nourishing and nurturing life. At this point, Klein involuntarily paused, partly because the subsequent relevant memory is vague, and partly because this creation myth is somewhat similar to the Panyu opening of the sky theory of the food people. The imagination of people from different worlds in myths and legends has something in common. Seeing Klein's conundrum, Dunn smiled and helped Heimat. His slungs became spirits. His heart grew into a giant. His liver became a tree man. His head became a dragon. His kidneys became feathered serpents. His hair became an immortal bird. His ears became wolves. His mouth and teeth became alien. His remaining fluids evolved into sea monsters, the essence of which was Naga. His stomach, his small intestine, the evil parts of his body evolved into demons, evil spirits, and all kinds of unknown evil beings. And his spirit became the eternal sun, the Lord of storms, the God of knowledge and wisdom. Out of his wisdom came man, the first age, the age of chaos. Klein said the last sentence with a mixture of amusement and absurdity. As a keyboard folklorist, he was also for the first time exposed to such detailed creation myths as Ranged, to the point where each ranked race was detailed in detail, from which part of the creator was derived. It's like sitting in a row eating fruit. And not only do the texts of the goddess of the night say this, but the Church of the Lord of the Storm, the god of steam and machinery, has a similar description, without elevating itself individually and degrading the other gods. This either shows that the creation myth is true, or it hints at the fact that the great churches in prehistory, before the 5th century, after a long struggle and compromise, finally reached an agreement. Thinking about this, Klein suddenly had another question. Frowning slightly, I think there are some questions. Why is it that the eternal sun, the Lord of storms, the God of knowledge and wisdom, is born directly from the spirit of the creator, and the goddess is not? In the prehistory of the apocalypse of the night, the goddess of the night did not awaken until the end of the 2nd period, together with the Lord of the storm, the eternal sun, and other gods, to bless and help mankind through the great cataclysm, which is commonly known as the tertiary period, the cataclysm era. Mother Earth and the god of war also appeared at the same time, and the god of steam and machinery, formerly known as the god of craftsmen, was not born until the quaternary period. In this way, the status of the gods seems to be self-evident. It's clear who's older and who's more orthodox. This also caused some confusion among the followers of the goddess of the night. Dunnersmith, holding his pipe in his other hand, did not answer the question. Tell him the whole name of the goddess. Klein felt as if she had stabbed herself and racked her brain, trying to remember. She's the goddess of the night, higher than the stars, longer than eternity. The Lord of Crimson, the Mother of Secrecy, the Queen of Distress and Fear, the Lord of Sleep and Silence. Fortunately, Klein's mother was a devout believer in the goddess of the night. And when she was alive, she would come to the evening and dinner once every day. Even if the memory of the original owner became fragments, it would not be lost. What does the Scarlet Lord symbolize? Dunn asked in a guiding tone. The red moon. As soon as Klein said it, she seemed to understand. Which part of the creator is the red moon derived from? Dunn asked again, smiling. A single eye, Klein smiles at each other. This is not worse than the spirit of the creator, split into three, formed by the Lord of the Storm, and so on. As for the Church of Mother Earth and the God of War, there should be a similar statement. Only the God of Steam and Machinery was born too late to find a reason. Their church had been weak for more than 1,000 years before, until the invention of the steam engine seized the lead and really stood on par with the others. Dunn rubbed his pipe and said, man is born from the wisdom of the Creator. So he has a brilliant and extraordinary brain and lacks other magical abilities. But from the creation myth, we can draw a simple and clear conclusion that all things came from the same origin. Of the same origin, Klein repeats the last few words. According to this conclusion, mankind, under the protection of the gods, who fought against giants, demons, fae, etc., gradually found a way to obtain extraordinary powers. That is, to make potions from evil spirits, from dragons, from monsters, from the corresponding parts of magical trees, flowers, or crystals with other materials, and then take them and absorb them to master different powers. This is common knowledge in all mystical schools. Dunn doesn't go into much detail, but simply says, in the process, our ancestors learned the hard way that if you take a high-grade, extraordinary potions, you can easily have a tragic end, and there are only 3 possible outcomes. Which 3? Klein asked curiously. First, the spirit dies, the body collapses, every piece of flesh becomes a terrible monster. Second, the power contained in the potion instantly changes the personality, becoming cold, sensitive, irritable, cruel, indifferent to everything. And third, Dunn put down his pipe, picked up a nearby china cup, and took a sip. Pass Valley Firmer coffee. Bitter but fragrant, great aftertaste. Want a cup? I prefer Fenneport's Highland coffee, which I've only had a few times at Welch's, of course. Klein politely declined. What's number 3? Being insane, going crazy on the spot, being more evil than evil. That's losing control. Dunn puts an accent on the word out of control. Before Klein could speak, he placed his coffee cup and continued. After a long period of experimentation and exploration, coupled with the birth of the blasphemy tablets, mankind finally perfected the potion system, forming a number of steadily increasing sequence chains. The lower the sequence number, the higher the potion's level. Until today, the 7 churches have mastered at least one complete sequence, and there are still hundreds of years to go. Incomplete paths collected over thousands of years. Desecration the slate? Klein picked up on the term. In the gathering, it is also mentioned by the inverted hanging man. According to the inverted hangers, the profane tablets are the most crucial factor in the formation and integrity of the potion system. That's not exactly what Dunn was saying. This is something made by some evil gods, the specific appearance in which era. What is recorded? What is special? I am not too clear. If you find clues, you must immediately report to me. It has the highest response level. Dunn explained vaguely. I just mentioned one of them is out of control. Now I'll talk about the other 4. HMM. Klein put the blasphemy issue behind her and listened intently. Although human beings have only intelligent brains and no other extraordinary abilities, but this is not absolute. There are always lucky people, or unlucky people, who are born with a higher level of inspiration. Well, that is, the ability to sense the spirit. They can hear voices that others cannot hear, see things that others cannot see, and have some extraordinary characteristics. As Dunn spoke, he looked at the emptiness around him, which made Klein's blood run cold. In other words, they are equal to half of the extraordinary people of Sequence 9, with fixed properties, and Sequence 9 is the lowest level in the chain. In short, they can only choose a corresponding, fixed sequence of paths. And if they take other potions, minor mental disorders, serious loss of control, and even more serious, direct death. Understood? Klein nodded slowly. The third kind of loss of control is similar to the second kind. Once you have chosen the sequence chain, you can only go along this path, and there is no way to go back. If you take other paths, the potion of the right sequence, although there is a high probability that you will get mixed, strange, and twisted abilities, but it is almost certain that you will be half man, or sensitive and irritable, or cruel and bloodthirsty, or silent melancholy. And this opportunity is only once, then, whether it is taking the potion of the original path or the potion of the current sequence, there is only one result that is out of control, depending on whether it is a spiritual death, the physical collapse into a monster, or the development of an evil spirit. As Dunn spoke, he took another sip of his coffee. After a few seconds of silence, Klein then added, and fourth type of loss of control. The fourth, and this is one of the most common problems, is that when we take potions, we acquire powers originally of an extraordinary species, an unnatural evolution, more or less affected by residual psychic influences, perhaps without symptoms, undetectable to outsiders, but certainly hidden within, until we have fully mastered the extraordinary powers of potions and eliminated the subtle traces. To take the corresponding potions of the higher order recklessly will accumulate madness, accumulate loss of control. Dunn was suddenly silent. After a pause, he exclaimed, "Our internal rules of the Night Watch, even if the team members have made great contributions, they must take the last potion for 3 years and undergo corresponding tests before they can be promoted. But even so, many people are out of control every year. It's terrible." Klein took a breath and said, "What about the last one?" Dunn's lips curled, but he didn't smile. Theft is also a common cause of loss of control for extraordinary people. Inspiration is more or less improved. The smaller the sequence number, the more improved, so that they can hear voices that others cannot hear, see things that others cannot see, encounter things that others will not encounter, all the time are seduced by mystery and illusion once there is any other stimulus, or there's a greedy desire, and it can spiral out of control. As he spoke, Dunn looked straight into the face, his gray eyes reflecting Klein's. His voice became a sobering. Archbishop Churns, the founder of the modern system of night watchmen, once said, "We are the guardians, but also a group of poor people who are always against danger and madness."